I guess the first thing we'll have to say is our prayers to be with Darla as she gets home and continues the rest of her evening. Okay. Okay, so what's the next thing? Number 11? Or are we done talking about the deeds? We just started that.
Just started,
Yeah. Okay. Well, go ahead and say whatever you want to say about it. Okay, go ahead.
Looking here at the presentation from Deans, anticipated levy revenue and Ganesh, I assume that he's in this county. 31.14% occupancy rate, estimating collection of $235,000. Guys Pro, slightly lower occupancy rate, estimating collection of $46,000. 54% occupancy rate, Victor County, estimated collection of $330,000. I'm assuming when they say Victor County, they mean the 5 towns as well. Yeah. I guess my question is, what do we have as fixed roof forest accommodation?
Within the county of Warren would be any of the hotels, Pickle Lodge would.
Pickle Lodge in the county. The hotels are mostly in towns. Does this include what I call campgrounds, RV parks? But it just seems to me that that's been unfair. People spend $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for their RV from summer, or less than that for a short period of time. Because they're exempt. They have to wind up getting lunch for something. It seems to be uneven, I guess, but I started doing some numbers there, and there's just well over $500,000, almost 600,000. Well, beans. So I'm not opposed to saying that it's quite a little good.
Councilor Turner?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since you're under municipal responsibilities, collect, levy, and remit the funds to deeds. How does that administer? How do we collect the levy? How does that happen?
So the onus is on the establishment to submit on a quarterly basis based on their.
And then we go to the establishment and collect the money from the establishment.
Simply send a check. To us on whatever the basis is that would be found.
They don't do that as their penalty. There's just so many questions come up for that, I guess. Anyway, it just seems to be just another administrative letter. They're asking for us.
Councilor David Carter?
Just wondering how this gets invoiced. If I show up at Pickle Lodge, for example, I can do an awful good to get a room for $140. But let's say it is $140. Does this levy go on before or after the HST? Am I paying HST as well? So it's usually.
Before HST.
Yeah, that's what it's asked. I don't know.
Thank you. Councilor Don Butler?
Yes, Mr. Chair, my question is of the warden. I'm wondering if this presentation was discussed at the warden's and mayor's and what was the reaction there?
Mr. Chair, I do remember being discussed, I'm never sorry tonight anyway, but I do remember being discussed. There was general positivity to it, seen as a way to, to increase our advertising budget to get more people to come here and stay here. That's what it's used for. Another, it's basically just rather than just those who want to participate, putting money in, then it's a requirement that if you're running an establishment, then everybody is treated the same. But it would be at least a year ago now that that presentation was made to us, and there was general agreement, I think, that we could participate anything we can do about the tourist visits and other visits to our hotels or homes or whatever. That's my memory of it anyway, on this bit.
Thank you. Councillor Meredith Overjolia.
Got her name in there, thanks. I think that most of the places around here are pretty good at doing their own advertising for tourism. And with everything we just came through, I think they're hurting enough as it is. And the economy for the rest of us, if you're gonna go someplace, do you really want to pay more than you have to? I'm not supporting the motion. I'm not in favor of it.
Councillor Boyce.
Well, I think that when we look at Dean's, I mean, they're a great organization. They really fight for this county and I mean, we don't even know what they're doing, you know, to say nothing against everybody. I really back Dean's all the way because they're a great organization.
What?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I'm just wondering, like, bed and breakfast would be for the county, because there's quite a few bed and breakfast, I think, in that town. But Airbnbs wouldn't be, so correct on that.
Legislation, I think, coming around Airbnbs.
Is there?
I think so.
That's not here yet. And just for the collection of the, I mean, each municipality going back to their respective facilities in their area, or funnel through one municipality.
It's each municipality, that's the bylaw. So each municipality will administer based on their.
Okay, so we collected their house. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Brian.
Just, this is being supported by the industry and the membership teams. So they are supporting the notion to put the marketing levy in place.
Councillor David Parker.
Thank you, acting chair. So it would be possible that we could implement it and maybe start to make noms. You could get a action.
I think it needs to be in all our.
I agree,
Nothing,
it's
yeah.
possible, it's big percent. And coming back to Airbnb and half a dozen other social platforms out there. Sooner they can bring the uniformity. Airbnb is no different than Airbnb is no different than going to a motel or hotel. We need uniformity. I hope we don't get a patchwork. The county, we don't get some that are left at. You got a campground and a tent, that's not a fixed roof. But if you look at some of the Airbnbs that are set up, there's campgrounds around the county, many of them are in the county. They're pretty darn nice, they're escaping this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Meredith Overjolia.
They're recommending implementing a bylaw as soon as possible. I'd be interested in knowing, when you say that tourism and Deans are for it, how did they come about that? Was it surveyed by all the people who would be included in that, and the businesses, like the people that would be paying the levy? Or implemented it within their business on their clientele? How did they come about that?
Understanding is they consulted with their stakeholders. So that would be the hotels, motels. So just Halifax bylaw accommodation means provision of lodging in hotels, motels, or any other facilities required to be licensed under the Tourism Accommodations Act, and in a building owned or operated by a post-secondary education institution where the hotel motel facility building consists of 20 or more rental units or rooms that are offered as lodging. So that's the definition of what qualifies.
So if it is implemented, that means that the people who are not included, that don't need to charge the levy, will probably gain business.
Anything else you want to add to that, Brandon?
So I think to Councillor David Parker's point, it has to be all or nothing. Like, I don't think we want one municipality having it. I think it has to be collectively picked up, can we, whether or not Antigonish comes in, probably argue whether or not that, but they are part of Dean, so they should be in as well. So it's a regional entity, but I do think it has to be everyone, and it has to be a common bylaw, common procedures for collection and things like that.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything? For information purposes, what do you want, where are we with it?
There probably could be a motion to work with the other units that are members of Deans to develop a bylaw and have that presented at some future. That may be work. I'll move that.
Peter? And seconded by Deputy Warden Murray. Okay, all in favor? Against? One. Carried. Okay, number 11 here is CDRB concerns regarding people have to pay back. Councillor Boyles?
Yeah, I just wondered if this we move to maybe our next meeting. I'll tell you why. I'm just waiting for some stuff to come from Sean Fraser's office on it. And once I get it, I want to send it out to everybody so we'll have it and you'll all have it for one way or the other. We'll be able to go next meeting.
So you make sure you
Everybody will get it.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so now emergency resolutions, any emergency resolutions? Facing none, I guess it's one of our, we'll go on to the next meeting.
I call the proper service meeting to order. First, I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Mi'kmaq, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Next is the approval of the agenda. By Deputy Warden. Seconded by Councillor Butler. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Right, nay. Next is there any errors or omissions or corrections to the minutes of February 21st, 2023. Are there any errors or omissions? More time? Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, consider those approved. Next is the reports. First up is the building inspector's report. By Councillor Watton. Second by Councillor Parker. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Now my name, motion carries. Next is the bylaw dog control. By Councillor Bullock. Second by Councillor Ellie. Questions on that? Seeing none, I just have one behind Logan. That's the one on the High Road or the Thornton Road. So it's tenants, is there a date when that's coming back? With houses or? Getting few calls on.
Yep, thank you for the question. It has been tendered. So we will be seeing that next week.
So, okay, good. Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Down my nay, motion carried. Next is development officer support.
I so move.
Councilor Butler. Second by Councilor Wild. Questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Down by nay, motion carried. Next is, board for by Councilor Wild.
Reason my notes are coming up to you tonight, so I'm going to forward this on if that's okay, whatever or something.
No,
Oh, I lost
sorry.
I lost the report, so.
The last one. Okay. Okay, we'll move on to number 4, land use planning update.
Yes, thank you. Through the chair to the council present. Just want to give a quick update to notify everybody that we have awarded the tender for land use planning services to the consultant of land planning for council's direction. We have our first meeting as just a couple of us on staff. Next, within the next, so this week, later this week, and we'll be proceeding and following up with council when they do become meet with all of you. So that's just a short update there to keep everybody.
Questions? None? Move on. This is climate science. June 3rd. Team package. Would you want to speak on that?
Yeah, thank you. And again, through you to council here. I attended the latest climate cohort meeting last week, which time informed that climate summit is going to be taking place on June 3rd at the County Wellness Center. It's currently being planned, details are being hashed out. They've issued the date so that we can get it out to the public. It's going to be a fun event. The intention is to have it family friendly, people of all ages, interesting things for everybody to take part in. So just want to give an update on that as well. And we expect additional information to come out with that. There is going to be a centralized email address and marketing campaign put together by the consultant that's leading up the project on behalf of the county of Glasgow, and then that's other municipalities that are part of the cohort. So look for that information coming as well. Yeah, so again, just provide us more information.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay, next is the Salem area water update. Right, you have to.
Memo was circulated with a package, and dates were corrected as per the warden's email on the original. So the meeting was February 21st, 2023, of the 20th of 2022. So the motion at that meeting was to have staff and the feasibility of the municipality completing water portion of the Salem project without assistance of the province. So we do have the current Salem water cost estimate there of to 2.7 million. When we include the HST. So the funding options are internally the gas tax reserve, that's 0.2 million, almost 4.3 million, that's a part sheet of 2023. The unrestricted operating reserve of approximately 4.3 million. So the financial statements, that you saw earlier tonight, they have a higher amount of general operating reserve, other big money contained in that, that's more specific things. So there's, about 4.6 million, and there's some things that were budgeted current fiscal year, but we're still in. So we estimate that we have about 4.3 million there. And basically, recommendations should council wish to proceed with the water project component. We recommended that the federal gas tax reserve be used. If other capital projects receive funding from other levels of government, you cannot use gas tax towards overall costs. So federal rules do not allow you to stack grants. So for example, that is the 31 million that we received from the federal government towards the internet project. You could not add gas tax even though it would be eligible to use gas tax because they've given another grant. You can't stack basically the overall component. So so gas tax would be eligible to be used for water projects. If other projects do receive funding for that purpose, things like so. That is the two really ways to internally finance it. The third option would be to debt finance it, but that doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you have money in the bank at this point. So debt financing, as I said earlier memo, it's about 4% a year borrowing costs. So it just doesn't make sense to do that when you have cash.
Wooden pipe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Came tonight for one reason, and I didn't sit here. But I have been feeling about it for a while now, that I thought it was my responsibility to speak for the people of Salem. I did speak quite a bit on a previous meeting, but those people have been treated wrong. No fault to anybody in this room. But maybe fault of some decisions we made in this room. But there's no sense going back for having to undo any of those decisions. And so the province has made it very clear that they're not going to assist us in funding Salem water or wastewater. And the federal money simply follows the provincial money. Federal money, as the provincial money is approved, and the federal money, 99% of the time, it was going to follow it. But in this case, that's not going to happen. That community is very upset because they're getting the brunt end of things here. Really due to no fault of theirs. They expected this project to go through like many other projects that we approved here. Then we go and we spend our money on designing and whatnot, which we did. $60,000, I think, with no reason to believe that it wasn't going to go through. But things do happen politically, and there's nothing we can do about that. So, as much as they wanted the evergreen, they wanted the water and the wastewater, many houses in that community that are in bad shape right now because they've been waiting, hoping this was coming, putting it off, doing anything different. And so I think we're at the point where there's no way that this council on its own could fund the water and the wastewater. Too big a bill. It's around close to 7 million. And that would drain every account we had. But I think it is possible with the figures that our CAO gave us tonight that we could fund the water part of the project. At least not lose all of the money that we put into designing this project, but also hold out something for the people of Salem. Their water has been absolutely terrible for a long while. I was actually asked to mention tonight, Amy called me this morning, but I don't know what all the issues, and Councilor Dewar's area, that she was asked to speak on behalf of the churches and was getting on with the United Church and the Stellar.
Sharon St. John
Sharon St. John United Church.
and Foxborough.
Yeah,
They exist.
they wanted to run forward here tonight, but their deep concern for the people of Salem was to do with this water situation. It kind of surprised me because usually the concern is people in the neighborhood in the post area. But I think there is some past connections with the lady who called me anyway, but very much wanted me to bring up tonight that they were strongly in support of us doing whatever we could to help the people of Salem with the water situation. So I guess it's really a decision of the whole council to make. Obviously, it's in my area, so I'm supporting it, but it's a decision of council to make whether we want to fund that project. So I think just to put it on the floor, I'm going to make a motion that our municipality fund the water part of the Salem wastewater project going forward as soon as possible. And look for a second.
Moved, second,
I'll second.
second. Questions on it? Councilor Wetton.
I'm wondering if we should include in the motion the source of the funding.
Okay. Maybe I didn't make it clear that the municipality would be funding the project, totally funding the project. Oh, sorry, I get what you're talking about, from the gas tax reserves. I didn't understand something.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Council one?
Mr. Chair, if I could ask a few questions to our CEO through you, please. I'm just concerned about separating sewer and the water or wastewater and water project. Is this area in need of wastewater project? You know, is there any information?
The information, like I said, we had received, which was from the community, was that there's a problem with the both wastewater and water. I believe they would prioritize water as more critical need, I guess, at this point, but there is both issues do exist in that community.
But from a council perspective, are we making the right decision by not including wastewater for this? Like, I think for any area, if they're looking at water and wastewater, are we doing the right thing by just throwing them into water? As far as our funds are concerned, as making the right decision, I guess, for all the residents of the county.
There's a technical answer to that. I think if you, one of the byproducts sometimes of improper sewage is poor drinking water. However, by bringing water to that community, you're taking that off the table. Like, they can still have failing systems, but you're providing good water, potable water. So it does negate part of the impact of poor septic is negated by bringing water. So
I guess it's just a concern that I'm down, not too far down the road. I think it's something going back to council that they got the water, but they're not having major issues with this water. That's, and I guess the fact that the province didn't support it makes me even more concerned. I guess that is it normal for us to do infrastructure projects like this without a partnership. And again, it's nothing against the project. It's just that I have residents that I have to go back to as well, and making sure that we're spending our money on the best projects for the county. And that's all we're trying to clarify, so that I'm comfortable making this decision whether I support this project going forward or not, based on the funding that we have in place.
I mean, thank you. There are always efficiencies in state both are portions of the project at the same time. If you're just cost means it's become longer. The feedback that I received has not indicated the conditions of the area for viability septic as opposed to the viability of clean drinking water. So I guess that's up to council to decide. Save on some efficiencies. It's and grow a larger project together. That comes along with the additional capital costs. Is that what's the advantage to doing that versus the case we have, which is that there are some failing systems, just like they're always there. Septic systems last for 25 years, 30 years, has 35 years. But what we understand is that there are some failing systems or soon to be failing systems there, but that's more of a product of them meeting into life as opposed to the conditions of sites themselves for septic viability. Not sure that clarifies things at all, but there's a pro to doing a project at the same time because the conditions there, but the reason why we're doing providing quality water was because we're drinking water quality, as opposed to the fact that we don't have a lot of evidence that septic systems are not viable in the area.
I guess that's my concern because we never separated the issue before. It was always a wastewater project. So I'm just assuming that we needed both. That's what is basing my decisions on. Now, if it's just water, I'm just worried about what's ahead for the wastewater. Let's say you see one not getting wrong and go to the other.
And we do have systems elsewhere in the municipality, but we have one and not the other. Sewer and water.
But that's the way we discussed it in council was one project, not.
Yeah.
So that's this, when we drop the wastewater so easily, I just have a concern that we're rushing into something that maybe we did within a couple of years.
And I will say that,
Right,
yeah, I guess the intention of what we discussed with the consultant, pulling sewer out of this project is still have a viable sewer project for the future, not making one to that when impossible, unviable by the nature of drinking water at this point. So that was part of the discussion that we had with the consultant. Sort of slight revisioning of the scope to get a tender ready project for the water, which is what they currently. But it wouldn't. What we've asked them to do is complete, give us a final version of the water sewer together, then peel the super portions out. Have a tender ready project. Water portions of them.
will that give us the risk of what's involved by pulling the wastewater out? Will we know the risks by not leaving the wastewater in there?
Yeah, including the financial risks of what.
Well, depending on, will we know the risks that we're taking on by not doing the wastewater? When we just pull it out like that, will that highlight some of the concerns that they may have with the wastewater?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think there, we will still have our approvals from the different agencies. There will still be physical room to include both. Therefore, making the project still viable if you go down the road. But I guess I'm not sure if I would give you a straight answer on exactly, are we going to lose money or whatever by, if we push this sewer to 3, 4, 5 years down the road. I don't know.
And I'm just thinking that if they didn't accept it this time, why would they accept wastewater? Would you listen to another thought? Would it be any merit in just applying for a water project through the province to see if the money was forthcoming from or just the water project?
They said very clearly that, they're not going to do anything for sale, water or wastewater.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Thompson.
Just a couple things. As a part of this work here, has there been a proper survey done of the residents with outlining the costs associated with the capital to install water, along with the annual cost of having water? did we do that work as a county?
Yes, that work was done.
So we were at their, one of the residents that did that about 3 years ago now, when we were looking at this project. It was over 90% in favor on water, and about 65 to 70% in favor on sewer. They were, yes, informed of the cost of the sewer capital cost each, capital cost and then the operating cost each year, as well as the on the water, what their cost would be, so they all knew what it would be, going into it, that was the numbers.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So I guess my question is, was the survey done by the residents or was the survey done by the municipality? That's what I want to understand. Because we have to represent the true cost of it. Maybe those, I don't know if the information, I'd like to see the survey, I guess, if it was done by the privately by local residents, or whether it was done by staff here, was a mailer to each home. That's, I thought that's the way we did the surveys for projects like this, to see if there was interest in.
So it was done, it was completed by a resident.
Okay.
Of the community, went door to door, got signatures, favor, yea or nay.
So my question, I guess, is, shouldn't we go back to those residents to confirm that information now? As a municipality, do we not have a policy in place that we were supposed to survey from the municipality's point of view, not from private residents? I can go up and get a signature for water tomorrow on in some of my areas, but shouldn't it be municipally run survey, standardized survey that would, if it's going to be a survey for water here, the same survey that we do for Clover and Colesville? Shouldn't we be doing that?
I guess the question that you're asking is, did the resident have the bylaws with them to say, this is the cost?
They were provided,
Each resident was provided with bylaws.
so they were provided what the cost would be for the sewer. At the time of capital at the time, which is 2,500, hasn't changed. The annual operating costs at the time, the water costs at the time of estimated quarterly consumption charge, the capital charge to connect, and the hydrant charge. So all of the information was given to them and given to the residents. So our policy is that one of the considerations is it's a community support board. And demonstrate community support, it's not specific that it's municipal or otherwise, but they did the legwork at the time, as has happened in other communities where the community actually come and say, we want this project, right? There's the people of Springfield State, so it comes to mind, they did that as well. So, but we've also done that in other areas where we thought that we said, are you interested?
Could. I don't mean to be a stickler, but I think it should be standardized. I don't think we should have this patch bug survey system that we have right now. It should be a standardized municipal survey sent out to each resident. I'd like, and if they'll probably all say yes, but I'd like, that should be a standard form. It shouldn't be done by private resident, it should be municipal. We see the interest, let's confirm it for ourselves, and it would be something that would carry through to other projects as well.
Yes. That'd be good. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just an answer, I agree with that, but we're pretty well through this one. Can't see us take policy, take another 2 or 3 months to go back and. That's on the already still. Coming forward from them, but we should do this. In on a sewer, I had a problem, so I went to see, but I asked them the sewer lines on the opposite side of the lady. Question about that, and put it in the same trench, and the sewer lines on the opposite side. Small staff. On this problem. And just the third thing on the memo. Oh, the figure down, I think there's one that's going to get the numbers there.
There's an
I
extra
didn't
one.
know that.
Yeah, there's an extra one. It's 2742.
Thank you. Okay. Is there anybody else? None, by the motion. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Count by name. Motion carried. Okay. Next is the RFP. Holding Palms Brook potential water project. That's also fascinating to the Council Boards. Okay. It's on the agenda. The board mentioned that there potential funding for this project through the province and federal government, so it hasn't been signed yet, but Councillor Thompson said, and Warden said, or Deputy Warden said, I'd like to see a survey go out to the residents along this potential route, ask them if they're in favor of this project or not, and just so that we get a consensus, right? I know that you will come back very positive. So, but in the meantime, I'd like to see staff do up an RFP for this potential project to do its design also. I'll make that a motion.
I'll second that.
Is that?
You're the chair, you can't make the motion.
No, no.
Let's do it. All right, I'm just leaving.
You heard the motion, any questions? Go ahead.
Yeah, could you give me a more explanation how big a project this is? Like, it just says Colbert Club. I mean, that's a pretty considerable size area.
Yes.
Where does it start? Where will it stop?
Fine, do you want to?
So it's basically from the northeast Nova Correctional Facility out Sherwood Road, turning, going back from Palmsbrook Road to where we terminate in Palmsbrook. So it's
Out past Gregor's, that road there?
no,
No?
out to the crossroads market, and then
Pretty well respected.
so about 8 kilometers.
8 kilometers? Yeah, no,
But it would depend on, we get the design done, and then if it comes in too high, then you can do phase. But first, you gotta find out from the residents if they're interested, and they are, and send them to the RFP for the potential area. And then if there's funding comes through, there's not enough funding to do the whole thing, then we'll look at doing a section. Anyway, if you want to know the truth, and if anybody's been Thornton Rink to break the water, you know what. And that's the way it is right along there. It's coal mining communities, right? You look where Bobby Allen lives there, you see coal actually in the bank. That's where Bobby Allen used to live. And that's right along there. So it's coal mines.
Winchester?
Thank you.
Here, did we make a deal with the town last 2 years ago that what's the story about much water can we get from it? Remember there was something going on there, Brad?
Yeah.
I just want to bring this up.
Yeah, there is a master water agreement with the town that sets the maximum tonnage that per day.
Are we okay in this area?
It's collective, so it's
County.
all areas that we get water from. It's not specific. At one time, it used to be specific per line, there's a maximum per line, but the master agreement gives us a per day.
Just on this, then, Brian. Would each home or water meter? Is that? Yes. Sorry about that.
Anywhere else? Know what the motion is there. So, in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Against, say nay. Motion carried. Back to you, Rich.
That's what else. Is there any community announcement? Any announcements? Councilor Dave Hart.
They're all invited to come out to Millbrook Hall on the sixth. Annual Rate meeting. For 57. Don't have,
That's right. Site.
we don't have a guest speaker, but I do expect to, I might be asking Logan to come up on the process for land use bylaw. Thank you.
Councilor Butler.
I'd like to invite people to this one on April the 16th for a salmon supper.
That's a whole lot.
You just thought you.
Hey, anybody else? Any emergency resolutions? Is there a resolution? Emergency resolution. Seeing none? Speaking or just going to the chance motion? Motion going camera.
So moved.
By Councilor Turner. By Deputy Ward. Those in favor, signify by saying aye. By nay, motion carried. So we're in cameras, so you want to give a second?